I'm Morgan,
And I'm Megan.
twins and hosts of M&M Chat, a monthly podcast that brings together our many commonalities: motherhood, farm life, fitness, chasing our passions, and go chat. It is our goal to create a show that is positive, real, and fun. Now let's continue to dive into season two.
All right, you guys. So we are wrapping up the year with series 4 in the season, and it is all about keeping calm these next few months as we just finish out October, November, December. So this series won't be structured. We are planning to keep it light and comical. October is all about Halloween trends and harvest tips and tricks. So we are going to just be chatting about some of those, sipping on some yummy things, some yummy drinks. Um, Today I have a caramel vodka apple mixed drink. I don't have any apple cider, so we are just drinking apple juice. And on the rim, I put some cinnamon and some sugar. Morgan, what are you drinking?
I am living through you. I'm pretending I have a cocktail, but I have a mocktail today, you guys, inside of a Moscow Mule cup, and it is delicious. You don't need that necessarily to still have a very tasty drink. And so I have just an apple cider slushy with a little bit of cinnamon added to it.
Yum, that sounds really good.
Yeah. So cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
So Megan and I found some cool articles. We had a lot of fun going through that last month. And so for Halloween, we have three articles that we kind of want to talk about, some trends, some history. And it just is kind of a fun conversation because some of these things are like you see all over the place on like Instagram and stuff like that. So the three articles that we're going to be going through today, we're going to start with a history of Halloween, the origins, the meaning, and kind of where that stemmed from. It actually goes way back from what we found on the History Channel. And then we're going to go through the top 12 Halloween costume trends for 2023. And this is from Marie Claire. And last, we're going to wrap up with 24 Halloween and fall must reads. If you loved, I feel like this time of year, fall and winter is kind of when things slow down. So you can maybe grab a book during Christmas season or the fall season too. And so these were some Halloween fall. There were some spooky ones mixed in, I saw. And there was some just like fall kind of cozy feel ones. So we can go through some of those as well. And then at the end of our conversation, we'll talk about some food and recipes and kind of harvest tips and tricks that we've been trying this month, especially with how busy. I feel like winter usually slows down, but fall is like getting towards the end of the season. You're like ramping up to then slow down.
Yes.
All right, let's.
I'm excited about these articles. I find them interesting, so I hope you guys do too. The first one, like Morgan mentioned, we are going to talk about the history of Halloween. And there's lots of different thoughts about Halloween and kind of how it was originated and how we should celebrate it nowadays. So this article comes from the History Channel, and it is called just Halloween 2023. And so, ancient origins of Halloween, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival. And the Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated the new year on November 1st. So this day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human deaths. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, I think is how you say that. Oh, actually, it's pronounced Samhain. It's spelled Samhain, but up here it has the pronunciation Samhain. When it was believed that ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. And so I actually asked the question yesterday when we were talking about costumes, Morgan. So you guys, we had a little friend get together yesterday, and we talked about how sometimes kids get so frustrated when they have to put on a coat because it's so cold. And when in conversation, I was like, why do we have it on the 31st? Why didn't they choose an earlier date in October to have Halloween? Like, why couldn't they have had it on October 1st or October 10th because then chances are it's not as cold and kids wouldn't have to bundle up when they're out trick or treating. But this just answered my question. The reason it's October 31st is because that was like the last kind of date of harvest before it started to be winter. So that's interesting and good to know why it's the 31st.
I think that's a really good point, and that was something that I was going to bring to attention too, because I think that's really interesting because this was back in the 8th century, you guys, so 2,000 years ago. And so this day says mark the end of summer and harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, and it was usually associated with death, which would make sense. 2,000 years ago, they didn't have heat like we do now, so there would be frostbite, there would be freezing to death. There would be also probably sicknesses like colds that you couldn't recover from. Diseases
Yeah.
might spread and stuff.
And I wonder if
Um,
harvest took a toll on people's bodies too, because they didn't have the equipment we do now. So I wonder if some
yeah,
of them got hurt during
yeah.
harvest.
And even fires, like if you are trying to heat your home or your space, like things might have started on fire because you're trying to use fire more often. So I just feel like it's interesting that yeah, because it's associated with you had more human deaths in the and then that boundary, they said the boundary between the living and the dead. And if you keep reading, we won't read the whole thing because we want, if you guys want to go and find these, we'll link them. But it says it also would sometimes cause trouble by damaging crops. So they had this theory that like if you had a bad crop or something, it was because of this like Halloween day.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes people celebrate it as like the spirits coming out and good or spirits that have maybe had some evilness to them as well. And so as Christians, Morgan and I actually we went to community group last week and one of the members of our community group actually said something like I really related to. So as Christians, sometimes people don't even celebrate Halloween because it does kind of honor like spirits and things like that. And it's not a holiday that's in or associated with the Bible. So I feel like from my perspective and what we heard at community group last weekend, we don't have to celebrate it in a way that they used to celebrate it. We don't have to still follow those same traditions. We can kind of use it now in the 21st century as a Hallmark holiday. And I know everyone has different thoughts and beliefs, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but I like to celebrate it just as that, as Hallmark. It's a day to dress up, it's a day to have some fun, a day to kind of think about spooky stories and movies and having festive drinks. And I associate it kind of with pumpkins and apples and um, I don't know, witches, vampires, just kind of fun for kids. And then for adults too, just a reason to get together.
I think so too. I agree with you on that. It's just to me more of a fun, yeah, fun holiday. Not a serious holiday. To me, it kind of reminds me of like Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day. Um, things like that that are just more like festive. Not
Yeah.
not really putting a whole lot of meaning behind it. Where did the costumes come from? So if in the article it says to commemorate the event, they would build huge bonfires where people would gather and they would burn the crops that they thought were damaged and animals as sacrifices. During the celebration, they wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. So
Hmm.
that's kind of where it came from is they were probably trying to like scare away the spirits and stuff that they were believing that were coming.
Yeah. And it looks like Halloween came to America. It looks like the second half of the 19th century is when it kind of started coming over here. But it said, here's a fun fact. Did you know more people are buying costumes for their pets? Americans spent nearly $500 million on costumes for their pets in 2021, more than double what they spent in 2010. That's kind of an interesting fact.
That is really interesting. Should we take that as a segue into the trends for 2023 costumes?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
So the next article is the biggest Halloween costume trends of 2023, and this is by Marie Claire. So there's a variety on here. So we'll just kind of go through and we can kind of talk about some of them. So if there's one, Megan, that we kind of want to stop and discuss like
Yeah.
the trends of that year. So like the very first one is Barbie.
Yeah.
Have
And that
you
one's not a surprise. I was
no
expecting that one.
have you seen the movie or do you want to see the movie?
I have not seen it. I wouldn't mind just so that I know what everybody's talking about. But to me, I don't think it will beat that original life-size movie with Tyra, is it Tyra Banks? No.
Yeah.
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 I don't think it's gonna beat that one in my mind because I liked that one so much. And that one to me is like the original Barbie movie where somebody comes to life as Barbie or a Barbie doll of sorts.
Yeah.
And so I don't think this one's gonna live up to its hype in my mind, but who knows? It could surprise me. And like a lot of my fourth graders really like it, and some of them we had homecoming, and some of them dressed up as Barbie because we had like a Barbie vs. Ken day. You guys did at the middle school too. And so since it is a big hype, I would like to see it just so I know what everyone's talking about. But how about you? Have you seen it yet?
No, and like same thing. If I have the opportunity, I will. I wasn't really gonna go see it in the theaters and pay money to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it comes out on like Hulu or Netflix or something like that, and I have the opportunity to see it, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Uh, and it just sounds like it's kind of a funny one. It sounds like the other one that you mentioned, the life-size movie, that one's more like serious and talking about like building confidence and stuff like that. This one, it sounds like it's more supposed to be humorous.
Yeah.
And it kind of pokes fun about like with Barbie and stuff. It's just kind of crazy to think about like how long Barbie's been around and like
Mm-hmm.
even in 2023 they can like hype it up again and
Yeah.
have a movie come out and be a really big success. Um, so for the things, you guys, if you do want to be Barbie, the accessories is a pink purse, pink shoes. The one that they have a picture of is when she's rodeo Barbie, so she has a cowboy hat on. So honestly, that one I think would be pretty easy to make a
Yeah.
custom costume.
Yeah, you could just do what you have if you have some pink clothes and a
Yeah.
blonde wig. You don't really have to go out and buy a specific Barbie costume.
Mm-mm.
Also, there's so many different types of Barbies. Like you said, rodeo Barbie. There's
Yeah.
like Barbie goes to the beach. There's like so many different different Barbie things. The next one that I thought was actually like different than what it is. It's Wednesday from the Addams Family. You guys, when I kept hearing Wednesday, I thought it was like kind of like The Ring or something. Like I thought it was like a really scary character. And I'm like, why are all these kids watching Wednesday? And then Morgan's like, no, Megan, it's from the Addams Family. It's supposed to be kid friendly. And I'm like, oh. So now that I know it's from the Addams Family, which makes sense, and I have seen like Addams Family movies before, I just didn't even put the connection together. I'm not a big movie person. I love Halloween movies and I love Christmas movies and that kind of stuff, but I'm not one to remember quotes, movie quotes, or actors or names of characters, things like that. But now that I know it's kid friendly, I think it's kind of cool and kind of neat that people want to be that for Halloween.
And her name's kind of cool. Like I wonder where she got the name Wednesday from. Probably
Yeah,
says in the original one. But
probably.
for that one, it says this one's probably one of the easiest ones that you could make yourself. You could achieve it with pieces you already have, like black clothing, gothic makeup. Remember, there was one Halloween that you and I wore black lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
We had a middle school dance for Halloween, and we
Yeah.
wore like black lipstick and black makeup and stuff. So you could achieve this with like a black dress, or you could achieve it. You could put on some like they have a picture of spider web uh stockings or
Tights.
spiderweb tights. So you could do something like that, which you could buy at the mall or Hot Topic or some. Is it Hot Topic? Is that the store?
Yeah.
So that one, it would be kind of fun to dress up as. It might be one of those things though that people might not know for sure that you're Wednesday. They might just think that you're like a witch or something.
Yeah. I actually saw on Instagram that a mom said her 3-year-old is like begging to get her hair dyed as Wednesday. And She's 3 years old and she wants to dye her hair. If I was the mom, I'd probably be like, why don't we just get a wig?
Hmm. I
But
would get a wig too.
yeah, but it sounds like the mom's like contemplating, like, should I let her dye her hair at 3 years old? Like full black hair and
No, because then it's gonna start to fade out, and then it's
yeah,
like, then it's gonna be half like if she has blonde or brown hair, and then it's gonna be like, are you gonna keep it up as a 3-year old? And then no, you don't.
yeah.
To me, I would not.
No, I honestly like for my if I ever have a girl, I think my thing will be like once you get into middle school, high school, if you want to like put highlights or dye your hair just to try it, that's fine because then it can kind of let them express themselves. But when they're in elementary school, I might do the spray dye that comes out in the wash or something. But
Yeah, yeah. The next couple we don't have to spend too much time on, but of course Beyonce and Taylor Swift are on here because Beyonce and Taylor Swift both had big tours this year. So
yeah,
Beyonce was one, and then I do kind of want to mention the Taylor Swift one briefly because Taylor Swift has just been like now even it's trending like how she has the Eras tour. It's like
yeah,
I'm in my pumpkin spice era, or I'm
yeah,
in my cozy sweater era. And it's like you see all these trends on Instagram that are like, I'm in my um cleaning the house and becoming a like really organized person era. Like,
yeah.
like everything's era.
But what's funny is like, and I don't even think she meant to, but with this whole is it
Oh, Travis
Kels
Kelsey.
trap? Yeah, I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head, but now that she's like dating him, that's like all the memes that you see right now, and she's probably like, dang it, it's taken away from her too, unless they purposely did it, who knows?
Yeah, unless there's a because what's funny is with Tyler and I doing this fantasy football, I feel like I knew who he was before the him and Taylor started dating. Like
Yeah,
last year watching the Super Bowl, I knew that the Kelsey brothers, I kept up with them a little bit last year when they played against each other. So both Kelsey brothers played against each other at the Super Bowl. And then
okay.
they have a podcast called New Heights that I listen to sometimes. And he
Yeah.
the last episode it said, you guys, we are number one in Apple Podcasts right now. We up 60%. We can't explain why this happened. And I'm like, because Taylor Swift came to the game and you guys announced that
Yeah,
Travis Kelsey and Taylor were dating. I'm
yeah.
like, and he goes, we're getting a lot more female audience than previous.
See, it was planned.
Yeah, I'm like, are they? But she was at the game last night. Tyler and I watched it last night, and she was there again. So she's gone to like three
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, and I'm totally kidding. I don't know if it's planned or not. Who knows?
It could be that they're just friends. Maybe they're not even dating.
Yeah, yeah, who knows? There's all these rumors out there right now about it. We'll have
But
to
the
see if
Taylor
it
Swift,
lasts.
I feel like the concerts, like everyone's trying to wear neat clothes to the concerts too, like
Yeah.
sequins or things like that. So I feel like that could be a pretty easy costume. You could get a blonde wig and you could dress up. Well, then they said you could also dress up like Taylor at the football games
Yeah.
and wear a red jersey.
I feel like I feel like festivities are coming back. I want to say like when we were really little, they were really big. I remember like going all out with festivities and mom decorating the house with like window stick-ons and just like we
We had
full
our
went all
Halloween
out.
parties. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Halloween parties, bonfires, things like that. And then, and maybe it's just because we weren't in that stage, so we just didn't notice it. But I felt like for a while, even as a teacher, it wasn't as big. Like kids weren't decorating or dressing up as much. It wasn't like as big of a deal with crafts or festive drinks or different things. And now that there's social media and Instagram, I feel like it's starting to come back around again, where people are dressing up for fun occasions. They're trying to be super festive or they're trying to be cute with making really cool foods and drinks and um decorating the front porches again. Like it's starting to, I feel like, come back around.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think it's good. Like it's fun. I think sometimes we can like I saw a couple reels that like some people like really decorate the front porch with pumpkins and mums and they're going all out. So I saw a couple people make a reel that was like, see my front porch
Yeah.
transformation, and then they're like, and then they like throw the pumpkin up and then it like lands and it like squashes and it's like, oh, never mind, I don't have time for that. Like
Yeah.
I'm a full-time employee, I'm a mom and all this. And it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny because I feel like sometimes we can see, even like with Dean's birthday party and stuff coming up, we can see trends and stuff and we can like, we have to remember of like realistic expectations
Yeah.
or like not try to like we can have fun with it, but like not put the pressure on ourselves. Like if it doesn't look like Pinterest when you go to make it, like
Yeah.
it's okay. It's fun.
Yeah. And you can still enjoy it even if like your house doesn't have to be spick and span to enjoy
Mm-mm.
it. Like I have my Halloween fall decorations out. I have some mums outside, but then there's also toys and there's also dishes in the sink. But it still gives me joy to see like, oh, I have orange candles in that vase over there. Oh, I have my Scentsy warmer going and I can smell the pumpkin. Like you can still
Yeah.
enjoy it even if it's not picture perfect what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Kind of like going back to the beginning of our year in this series talking about calming the messy. It's like whatever like works for you and like you said, not putting pressure on yourself and just making it fun and then
Yeah,
enjoying it and it doesn't have to be picture perfect.
right. Yes. Some other ones are people are dressing up as a ballerina, a Little Mermaid, um, Kylie Jenner. So those are some common ones. I was kind of disappointed when I was looking for costumes for Andrew as far as like what's online and at the store. There's not a lot of kid costumes that was sticking out to me, and maybe it's because Andrew doesn't have like right now he's not like telling me what his interests are. I mean, he's too little to be like, Mama, I want to be this for Halloween.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to guess and like say, well, he could maybe be this. Last year he was a bear just because I thought the costume was cute and I could be Mama Bear. I wore a t-shirt that said Mama Bear. Kyle wore a Papa Bear t-shirt. And then he was Little Bear, so we were the three bears. But this year I was like, well, the thing he's really interested in is farming and like Bob, the skid loader. So I was like, well, he could be a farmer, he could be a construction worker or something like that. Um, but he had a tractor themed birthday party and I'm just like I don't know if I like want to have every single theme be farm related. Like he can have other interests that besides just farming. And so I was like really trying to whack my brain of what he should be for Halloween and it was like hard to come up with something.
Yeah, I think so too. And like you said, I don't think the stores, since most people do buy things online and stuff now, like Dean and I went to Walmart one day and we were there and I was like, let's just um browse the aisle quick. And I'm like, if
Yeah.
you see anything that you like, Dean, like he's now that he's gonna be 3, I'm like, maybe he can choose his own outfit. And
Yeah.
yeah, he saw a Paw Patrol, so he picked out one of those and he's gonna be Marshall.
Yeah.
Even though Marshall's technically a fire dog and he was a fireman last year. But but I was like, he picked it out. It was
Yeah.
Chase, which is a police officer dog, or Marshall, which is the fire dog, and he wanted
Yeah.
to be Marshall. So I'm like, it is what it is. And it's a little bit
Yeah.
different. He's got dog ears and stuff like that. Last
Yeah.
year he was just a normal firefighter. And
Yeah.
so
Well, and
um
his grandpa was a firefighter, so I feel like he hears that probably more than police officer too.
yeah,
So maybe that's just more of an interest of his and he seems to like the color red too.
yeah. Yeah. And Papa John gave him a Marshall dog, so he
Oh
has one of
yeah.
those.
Yeah.
I should find that because then he can carry it with him.
That would be cute. Andrew's costume is a surprise just because I am trying to surprise somebody with it. So I won't say what it is on here, but you guys can find out later on our social media pages because I know I'll post some pictures of him.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
I should say that I ended up finding something because I was like telling you guys how discouraged I was, and then I'm like, oh,
Andrew's
here.
gonna be something. He's got
Yeah.
a costume.
He's gonna dress up. I ended up finding something.
Okay, you guys, the third article, and then we'll move on to more harvest related recipes and things. So the last article is 24 Halloween fall must reads. And this came from, I follow Ashley Molstead, and this came from her newsletter. So Ashley Molstead, and then also from Perpetual Page Toner, which is where this blog is from. But so there's just yeah, like we said, usually fall and winter you might find a little bit more downtime to read. So we thought we'd go through. I browsed this and I have not read any of these. So we can just kind of give the little description of what they say and then what the cover, if it's like scary looking or not.
Yeah.
So the first one says, I As I Descended by Robin Talley. And the blog writer of this said, I won't lie, I started getting a little jumpy reading this and retelling of Macbeth at night. It's Mean Girls meets the scariest thing you can imagine to come from messing with an Ouija board or a
Hmm.
Ouija
A
board.
Ouija board.
You guys have to go back and listen to our spooky conversation last year. I think it was last year. We did one with friends the year before, and then last year, Megan and I did a spooky month one, and we talked all about our Ouija board experience. So if you want to go back and check out our spooky episodes from from
Yes.
our records.
I'll have to go back and listen to them because I remember them being fun.
Mm-hmm.
So the Ouija board is just one that always scares me, so I don't think I could read that book. Also,
Uh-uh.
you guys, one time I was reading last fall, I was reading a book that was really scary. It was actually, and it's scary just because it's a mind one. It's not really a Halloween one. It's some of you guys have probably read it. It's a Colleen Hoover book, Verity. And that one, I could not get it out of my mind for weeks. And it was just a mind, kind of like a mind F one. Like I just like could not get it out of my head. And I was like, why am I reading this? But then I wanted to find out and I was hoping it'd get better. And then at the end it was like more twisted and you're like, okay, I don't know if that's better or not.
I know. I haven't read that one, and I don't want to read it because of your description of it.
Yeah, a couple people that I've talked to who have read it said the same exact thing as me. Though, like, I just couldn't put it down because I wanted to find out what happened, but then also it was like so messed up.
Yeah,
Colleen Hoover is a good writer, though. Like, she's got good books and she really gets you into the book.
I agree. I really like her books too.
Um, so some more of like the spooky Halloween vibe. There's another one called A Madness So Discreet. And this one says if you like your fall Halloween read to be of the not so scary variety, but a rather forceful atmospheric fall feeling, this is it. It's a gothic historical mystery of sorts set in an insane asylum. So I mean
Oh,
it says it's not as scary, but I feel like that'd still be
I
fun
would
to
still have heebie-jeebies.
yeah.
Um, this whole article just reminds me of Paige. Paige is a friend of mine that I worked with at Farm Bureau. Did I tell you she started a page, a specific, she has a new, I can't think of what it's called, but she has a new Instagram page that's her name and it's like Paige's Books or something like
So it's
that.
like reviewing books that she's read.
Yeah, because she's an avid reader, and I should send her this article because
Yeah.
she loves to read, and she has her. If you guys want to go check out her Instagram, um, her name's who I her name's Paige McGovern is her maiden name, but I can't think of her married name at the moment. But anyways, the next book is Stalking Jack the Ripper. And this one I thought was this one that intrigues me because last fall I was kind of getting burnt out of the podcast I was listening to. And so I was researching fall like themed podcasts. And there was a short series one on Jack the Ripper. And he's a really creepy, interesting person that was a serial killer that they never ended up finding out who it was.
Mm.
And so each, instead of telling it the story of from Jack the Ripper, the author of the podcast told it from the story of the people, the victims that he killed and their life. And most of them were like prostitutes or living, because this was back in like 1800s or something. So like people like some of the living conditions and stuff that he would target, like then he would
Yeah.
target people that would go under the radar that they wouldn't
Hmm.
really find right away.
Oh, wow.
And so this one says Stalking Jack the Ripper. If a story about a girl trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is doesn't scream Halloween read, then I don't know what does. It's a gruesome historical thriller, light on the scares, and it has a good dose of defying the patriarchy and society constructs for a woman.
Hmm.
So kind of based off of that same podcast, the women's rights and how a lot of these women didn't have rights back then. So it wasn't until much later that people really tried to figure out who was Jack the
Doing
Ripper, and
it.
then it was kind of late.
Yeah. Oh, wow. The last one, and then you guys can take a look at the list, is there's a lot more, but the last one we'll mention today is the Secret of Wishtide. And this one says it's a cozy historical Victorian mystery. And it says it's the first book in a new mystery series. That Letitia Rod is a fiery lady, private inspector, and solving this mystery with her is a perfect way to spend a chilly fall day. So it's a mystery, and it's a cozy read. It's historical, set in the Victorian time. So if you're looking for something not as scary, but still something for a festive fall feeling, you can check that one out. I might have to check some of these out, Morgan. I have never really read a fall kind of spooky story. Usually I go towards the romance books. But these are kind of intriguing me a little bit. Maybe not the really gruesome ones.
Not the insane asylum or the Ouija board.
No. How about
I
you
agree
guys?
though.
Let us know. I know some people listen to like mystery podcasts or different spooky
Rachel,
things
our
like
friend
that.
Rachel is really into that. Um,
Yes. So let
yeah,
us know.
so
Do you guys listen to those kind of podcasts? Do you read these kind of books? Do you watch scary movies around Halloween? I used to love scary movies around Halloween time, and I haven't really watched them the last few years, just because we haven't had a reason to, and I'm not going to watch it by myself while Kyle's out harvesting. No way.
no, no, and yeah, Tyler's not big into scary movies, so we don't really watch them either anymore. It was more like one of those things like when we were in high school, watch them at our Halloween parties
Yeah,
and
and with
stuff.
friends where you have lots of people and
Yeah.
So you guys, we are going to just talk a little bit about harvest and how that's going. Morgan, I saw that your flowers, you had a few blooms left today, but most of your flowers have started dying off.
They have, yep. So, I posted today that, yep, the season came to an end, and it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of a magical thing because it's like nature just decides when we're
And
done
you don't
with
have
the
control
seasons.
over it.
No, so I'm glad I did my last flower cart last weekend. So my goal, I just was asking Tyler what we had going on next weekend. I have a wedding I'm doing the flowers for on Saturday, but I'm thinking I'm gonna maybe try to clean up the garden on Sunday just to get it
Yeah.
done because it is starting to get chilly out pretty quickly, and I have my hoses and everything still out. So I have one more wedding for October, and then I have a wedding in November, and then I feel like things will slow down. I have
Yeah.
a pumpkin workshop that I'm planning on doing in the end of October too. So that unfortunately won't be with farm ground flowers, but it will still be fun and festive and just kind of a neat thing to get my
Oh
business
yeah.
name out there.
Yeah,
How about you? You
definitely.
guys are in the thick of harvest. How you holding up?
Yeah, I think the rain that we had this week was actually a blessing in disguise just because the last 2 days Kyle has had to take rest, and he actually told me about a week ago that he was ready for a rain day because he's been go, 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 go. So rain days are good days for farmers just to have to rest because otherwise they'd be out in the field. So that was nice, but we have quite a bit done. I feel like it's been going, knock on wood, pretty well. We've had just a few breakdowns, but nothing more than like half a day to a full day's worth of trying to fix it, but nothing like where we've been out for a few days. So that's good. Knock on wood. We got some parts today. Kyle and I and Andrew went for a part run. We went up to P&K and Mount Vernon and went to the John Deere store. So that was good. And Andrew got to look at all the tractors and the toys and the big tractors and stuff. He was like in awe. He's like, "Whoa, look at all these tractors." But one thing that I've been really enjoying, like I did last year too, is just making meals and taking them out to the field, but also making them with the other women who are a part of the harvest crew too. So, like Kyle's mom, Kyle's cousin's wife, one of our friend who helps harvest, and he has his own crops and stuff too, but his wife, and so then me, and it's just nice that we take turns, and then we text each other and say, we're bringing the food out at this time if anyone wants to come join. So then usually Andrew and I come join, so then we can see Kyle and Grandpa, Gary, and things like that. And then the days that I make food, I make it and bring it out and text everybody. So we kind of just alternate, which has been helpful. And then I'm not having to make as much food at home for just Andrew and I either. It can help. So then I'm not as busy at night. But you guys, some things that I feel like are good harvest meals that we've had. And these are not just things that I've made, but the other women have made too. We did um one day they took out lasagna. I did trying to remember what I've cooked, what I've made. Oh,
You made those lighters.
sliders you said?
Or was that for just you and
I
Andrew?
made rights. Like I made sloppy Joe sliders one night. I made hamburgers, grilled hamburgers. I think there was I in the past, I haven't done it this year, but walking tacos you could
Mm.
do. One time we did chili and then actually Kelsey did chili in the crock pot and then she brought out styrofoam cups. So then they were easier to hold and they wouldn't spill as easily. And you could still use a spoon. But then also, you guys, I made meatballs. So Crystal made meatballs for harvest, but I made meatballs last night for our little get together that we had. And a little like trick, if you don't have breadcrumbs, and this was like by pure accident that I tried it and it turned out really good. If you don't have breadcrumbs at home, of course you can make breadcrumbs using like toasted bread and just make your own. But I was looking in the cupboard and I'm like, ooh, I have Triscuits. I wonder if that would work. I'm thinking to myself, Triscuits are made with wheat and the flavor was Parmesan, cheese, and herb, which those ingredients are in meatballs, the meatballs I was making, the recipe I was making. So I grounded the Triscuits up and put those in the meatball recipe, and I got a lot of comments on them last night of being really airy and delicious and just had good flavor and good texture. And I just did beef, some beef that we had in the freezer from the Johnson farm. So nothing too fancy, but they turned out really yummy and good. And then I
Yeah,
just did like a
Tyler.
barbecue sauce on it.
Yeah, Tyler had me text Megan this morning for the recipe. He said, "How
Yeah.
come you never make meatballs?" I said, "One time we made turkey meatballs in our old house." He's like, "Yeah, and obviously I don't remember because it was turkey."
Yeah, yeah, maybe make some. I mean, I've done talking meatballs before too, but maybe make some beef ones just to switch it
Yeah.
up.
I buy frozen meatballs every once in a while for spaghetti, but he's like, "You should try making homemade ones." It'd
Well, and
be
that's the thing. Like, it's a no wonder I don't make them very often because I usually do the frozen ones too, but I didn't have any frozen and I didn't feel like going to the store yesterday. So I ended up making homemade ones and I did 4 pounds and they were almost all gone. So I'm glad I did
Mhm.
that many, but it took forever to make 4 pounds. It took like all of Andrew's nap.
And browning up all the hamburger.
Yeah, browning all the hamburger and actually you don't brown the hamburger before you make them. You foam them into
Oh,
balls. But I had to foam them all into balls and then do like different batches because they wouldn't all fit on the cookie sheet. And I baked them in the oven. You could do them a different way
mm.
too, but I baked them and then I just stuck them in a warmer after I baked them.
And then you put the barbecue sauce on after
Yep,
that.
and the sauce I did was it was actually ketchup, soy sauce, honey, and instead of brown sugar, which you could do brown sugar, but I had brown sugar hickory barbecue sauce, so I did 2 tablespoons of that.
Nice.
But the honey, I think, added some flavor to it.
Yeah.
Did you know a lot of people do? When I was looking on Pinterest for recipes, a lot of people do grape jelly.
I have noticed that before. Yeah, I did see that one time in the recipe.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to wrap up here. We just want to say thank you for tuning in. Please review, share. That's the only way to get this out. And I know we only do once a month, but we appreciate you coming and listening. We love doing this podcast. It's fun for us. So please share, like, and comment. And thank you, everyone. Happy Halloween and have a spooky, fun season.
Thank you guys.